When it comes to this national framework, in your opinion, how should that look?
Well, there's two things, is that we can't ask the state premiers to act on their own. They've got to put back the Federation of Australia together with the Prime Minister. And secondly, they've got to do it having regard to the health advice. And so the Health Protection Committee, that is made up of the state chief medical officers, needs to give clear advice to the National Cabinet and the premiers so that they can reopen aviation.
But the health advice from health authorities in relevant states is that for some states, just shut the borders down. So how does that help you?
But that's each individual state acting in their own interest, and they're not having regard to the travel that needs to happen. You know, we've got 30,000 airline workers at Virgin and Qantas that are stood down with nothing to do. Are we going to leave them stood down till Christmas and indeed till Easter or the middle of the next year? Because that's how long this is going to go. No one's going to get a holiday anywhere other than in their own state at Christmas, and likely it could be Easter till they fix this unless they address the borders.
So there should be, you know, the federal system, the federal health authorities should be able to overrule the state's health authorities. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, not so much overrule, but work together to have a national policy and be clear on the national risk of travel between states. How can it be dangerous to travel between Canberra with no COVID and Adelaide with no COVID, or between Adelaide and Perth with no COVID? At some point, they can't set the limit as less than no COVID, and when it is no COVID, they need to open up and allow people to travel.
What's the situation with Canberra Airport for those who aren't aware at the moment, Stephen? I mean, is it on life support?
Well, we used to have 9,000 passengers a day, and on Saturday we had 19 passengers over 2 flights to Sydney.
Wow.
Yesterday we had 39 passengers fly out of the airport, and it's dwindling. So we now close the airport on Saturdays from tomorrow, and the truth is, unless we can get this resolved by the 1st of October, you know, what choice do we have but in one sense to consider not having any services at all because there are no passengers. There's no travel. And it's not so much about the passengers only, but what about the jobs? What about the people in the airline industry at home? What about their mental health and anguish? And then they support probably 100,000 hospitality workers in the hotels in the CBDs of Australia. Certainly we're seeing tourism boom in the regional areas, but there are so many jobs in the heart of our city that depend on tourism, and they've got no hope. Are we going to leave them unemployed until Easter?
I had the Airport Association on our show last week, Stephen, and he mentioned that the airports need about $200 million as a bailout. Is that about right, in your opinion?
Well, we probably need something to help keep us going, but in a sense, how much subsidy do you want to give to airports for no passengers? The truth is that at some point the states need to put the federation back together again, and that will happen. But my question is, does it need to happen in Easter or the middle of the next year when the vaccine is rolled out? Or is there an opportunity to do it now? And I suppose what we're asking is, can we operate at 25% capacity, which is equivalent to a 75% shutdown? And what we know is that even in Victoria, the construction industry is operating at 25% capacity. So I think domestic aviation could operate very safely in all states excluding Victoria at that limit.